Breaking right now at 6, State Trooper Brian North walks out of court a free man.
Not guilty.
A jury of 6 finding him not guilty on all charges in the shooting death of 19-year-old Mubarak Soulemane in 2020.
The verdict is obviously favorable for him, but it doesn't change what happened on January 15th.
The defense team pleased with the result, but saying what happened that night will always live with Trooper North.
He's still shaken. This is not something that he will ever live down.
And emotions running high for the Soulemane family after their years-long fight for justice.
It's difficult for the family to deal with a devastating loss like this. The trooper gets to go on with his life, and Mubarak's never coming back.
Our live team coverage starts right now. Good evening. We do thank you for joining us here for the news at 6. I'm Keisha Grant. After 2 days of deliberations, a jury acquitted Trooper Brian North in his manslaughter trial. The jurors reaching that verdict after listening to a week and a half of testimony. NBC Connecticut's Briseida Landaverde has been in the courtroom since the trial started. She begins our live team coverage from Milford. Briseida.
Yes, good evening, Keisha. Trooper North walked away free of any charges today, holding his wife's hand. Now, we spoke one-on-one with his attorney, who said this is something North will live with for the rest of his life.
Not guilty.
State Trooper Brian North is standing next to his attorneys as a 6-person jury found him not guilty of first-degree manslaughter or any lesser charges. North's attorney, Frank Aricchio, after the decision came down. How is Trooper North doing?
He's still shaken. This is not something that he will ever live down, because it was a very traumatic experience. It'll live with him for the rest of his life.
North was on trial for the death of 19-year-old Mubarak Soulemane. Back in 2020, Soulemane led police on a high-speed pursuit from Norwalk to West Haven. Troopers boxed in the 19-year-old on Campbell Avenue. North said he opened fire because he saw Soulemane holding a knife and believed other officers were in danger.
We are very happy with the verdict and the result. This is definitely not a time for celebration, because a young man still lost his life.
The Soulemane family was in the courtroom every day.
It's difficult for the family to deal with a devastating loss like this. The trooper gets to go on with his life, and Mubarak's never coming back, certainly.
Mubarak's mother and sister testified, saying the 19-year-old suffered from mental health issues. For years, they called for justice to be served. Today, they did not share any words.
We have questions about whether justice was fully done and received here, but we respect the outcome of the case. It's another loss today.
In a statement, the Office of the Inspector General said it is disappointed in the results of the case, but respects the jury's decision. This was Inspector General Robert Devlin's first case that he has tried since taking his position. Live in Milford, Briseida Landaverde, NBC Connecticut News. Keisha?
Briseida, thank you. Tonight we're learning much more about what this verdict could mean for other law enforcement agencies. NBC Connecticut's Kevin Geis continues our live team coverage with much more on that part of the story. Kevin.
Yeah, Keisha, well, when Trooper North took the stand just a week ago, we got some rare insight into what was going on in his mind in that night in January of 2020. But we also learned a lot about how he reverted back to his training on that night. So according to distinguished lecturer at the University of New Haven, Daniel Maxwell, he says it's clear police departments here in Connecticut and across the country were paying attention, waiting for the verdict. But regardless of the outcome, departments have been and will continue to put the focus on training, including de-escalation tactics. Maxwell believes there can't be enough training for officers because he says when they're responding to calls, they aren't operating under the conditions of training. They're in imperfect scenarios. He says while the impact may not be something public-facing, there could still be some changes.
It brings attention to officer-involved shootings. So whether, a verdict like this comes back guilty or not guilty, I think police departments are still going to be taking a look at their training and coming up with ways to improve their responses to these kinds of situations to avoid this kind of result. So, yeah.
Maxwell also notes it isn't common for a defendant to take the stand in a criminal trial, so he believes that having a little bit of insight for the jury into what was going on in Trooper North's mind as well as what was going on around him could have played into this verdict. We're live in Milford tonight. Kevin Geis, NBC Connecticut News. Keisha, back to you.